And is there a bit of landscape here around Oxfordshire that has changed since you were a child? Something maybe that you were fond of, that you went too often, or what bit? Um, is there a bit that dramatically changed? No, that's rare. Not for me really, cause I can say this is the area that I was born in, and this is the state that we're on now has been here for what? At least, no, it was B. It was built in the early 60s, so it's been here at least nearly 40 years. Is that right? Yeah, been here nearly 40 years. So even as a young child, this stage was there, and we got the fields to roam past that. So this end of town hasn't altered dramatically. Oh, and even the villages around here haven't really grown out of all proportion. The other side of the town certainly has. That's grown dramatically, but when I was young, we didn't go over that side of town. And now I'm older. I've got no need to go over that side of town. Why has it grown on that side and not this side? Bad planning. Now that's one of the being a local chap. That's one of the things I do think is stupid. The way they literally built all the town, all the infrastructure, roads, motorways to one side of the town. And that's why I don't go over there, because it's so damn awkward to get there nowadays. The roads are always blocked. They've got this wonderful inner ring road, which is a total failure, because it still pushes everything onto one set of traffic lights, quite literally. And now the councillors tell you different, but they are bound to say that, aren't they? And it's a complete mess, really. Do you feel strongly about the environment? Depends on what you mean by the environment. Do you mean buildings or the way life is in general, as regards refuge and things like that? Both, all of it. Both. Building-wise, I don't think in this area they do too bad. They seem to have a little bit of thought about it, except for building it all in one place. But other than that, I don't think North Oxfordshire does too bad. They seem to have got a balance between what we need and what sort of fits in with the surrounding areas. Some of the other things I think are a bit bad. The way they keep on this green issue. I'm not really a green issue person, as it's too little. It needs some stronger force, and don't ask me how to do that. But it needs somewhat stronger to push it and make it obvious what you should be trying to do. Pollution, there's a hell of a lot of that about. But how do you get rid of the cars? Because all the governments, past governments, all the people over the last generations have forced the cars on us, and don't see how anybody can say you've not to have your car now. Unless it's a real radical thought, but how do they do it? Don't ask me. Have you ever been on a protest of any sort? The only one I've ever went on was when they tried to, or were considering closing down vast parts of their local hospital. So I did join that protest, and mostly because I worked at the hospital at that time. So that was self-preservation, I think, but that's the only one I've ever been on. What do you think about protests? Do you feel that they kind of changed since? Well, that one worked for a little while. They've had several protests since, and each one seems to be a little bit weaker. I think they are a good idea, and some of them, as like this Greenpeace, I think that's probably a good idea, but whether it will do, it does do some good, cause one or two issues they obviously alter but again, I think it needs something more powerful and something more pointed to make them realize that they've got to do something.